Okay, this is Tom Bell, and we're here for day five, I think, or one of those, of this live stream series. And I want to dedicate this call to Brian G. Johnson because I have a really, and also apologize in advance because I have a super important phone call that I have to be on in about 34 minutes. And Warren and I are great friends. We love to talk. So if I actually have to cut him off in the middle of a sentence, this is my apology in advance. Let me and go ahead and share this, everybody. I always, I'm harping on everybody, and I'm getting less and less ashamed of doing it. Great engagement, great views. This is going to be some nice content. Let me tell you about Warren. Warren is, if it's possible, if there's a guy any less assuming than I am who's a heavy hitter in this industry, it's Warren. Correct me, but you were voted the 8th most influential person on all of social media. Is that correct?
Well, hi. I'm I'm glad to be here. But it's Forbes had the social media power influencers, which what that means is the people who influence other people who are influential. And so I don't know if you get into who has the most following and who has the most power. Well, those are the old, good old celebrities. The Katy Perrys of the world, Justin Bieber, people who won't take your call.
That's pretty good to me, but let's be honest.
And then there's the people in our world where you actually follow them on that list. On the list now is Seth Godin, Guy Kawasaki, let me see, Mari Smith. Joel's on the list. That particular list, I beat him quite often. He beats me. And some other heavy hitters like that, they mostly have New York Times bestselling books, command a good speaking fee, and associated with very large corporate clients. My claim to fame is that, I'm one above Seth Godin. Of course, Seth Godin won't answer your tweet. The thing is, I'm accessible, and of course, there's Gary Vaynerchuk beats us all. He is real. He is online. He is talking to people constantly. How he does it, I don't know.
He's superhuman. That's all there is to it.
He is. He's superhuman. And he's conquered that multitasking thing, or extreme ADD. Because he is constantly, no matter what he's doing, he also is looking off to something else. I've spent 2 seconds with Gary several times, and that's about how much attention you can give any one thing. And so he's just fantastic. He beats us all. And then, ranking down from there, there's a lot of people that are like that too. Robert Scoble in the tech industry. Again, you can get his attention, but for a couple of seconds, and that's how he does it. But the nice thing is, I'm laid back me. I'm coming to you from the home office in the suburbs, and I don't need to be up on stage and seeking that kind of fame because I know how to get to the people who do. So I'm famous for being known with a lot of famous people. Go ahead,
Warren. I want to say something out loud because you have it coming to you. Like a lot of times, when I talk about Warren behind his back, here's the conversation, and this deserves saying. I've been up and down. 4 different. When somebody brags about founding 4 different multi-million-dollar companies, kind of the necessary part of that sentence that doesn't get repeated is I've fallen into 4 troughs. And Warren's a prince because I'll tell the whole version of this, even though it's really short. A lot of times when you're famous, you have a nasty habit of having people that you don't have a great relationship with, or folks that you met at seminar. You put them on your assistant or your second in command, and this is me apologizing for being guilty of that. Right? I mean, Warren and I's friendship didn't start nearly as soon as it should have. And I learned something. There will be a book, to be sure, about making 5 different comebacks in this world. And something that really needs to be said about Warren and Gail Kingsbury while we're at it is, if I started naming people, I'd be throwing darts at them because of this. I've had so many of the big time gurus calling to pick my brain every week, and I always took their call. From that A-list. But when my money turned down, that list got cut by 80%. Warren was never one of them. So, some things you can measure in straight out influence or, power or money. And, a friend that just never goes away, even in the, and he had a good reason to, that just doesn't do it. Forget about all the angles and strengths and leverages in this world. This is me saying thank you in public, Warren.
I appreciate that. Well,
let's make people some money.
There's been plenty of times when I've learned so much just hanging out with you because you've been there, done that, where even as the guru, and you were one of those people like I was talking about, I used to say, I know Tom Bell. It's usually in about 3-second encounters because, we were on a cruise together. And, we kept running each other and talk. A couple of times we sat and talked for a while. But for the most part, the subject changed every 10 seconds and you were, ADD, which is fine with me because I learned so much from hearing a little bit of this and a little bit of that as we talk. So, anyway, what's even more fun is the opportunity we have now to make some people some money.
So let's do it. And, I'm going to tell on you for another thing, Warren. And, this one might be something, Gail got this last night. This might be something I have to apologize for in private. But, something that I've noticed that Warren is one of those people. I have a pretty small ego about most things. About my own brain, my ego is perfectly healthy. I'm a really, really smart fellow. Warren's one of those guys that if I saw the IQ, he might be smarter than me, and that's a compliment. Boy, I don't even know where I was going.
Boy, I hope this is recorded.
This undiscovered secret. Warren is one of these guys. I mean, IBM calls him to tell the future. I shit you not. This is something that happens. He's also a Mormon, and I always have to apologize when I swear. But Warren's one of these guys. He's like this under-the-radar, approachable, guy that doesn't charge anywhere close to what he's worth. I don't even know what or if you're selling these days, but he's kind of he's one of those bargain type guys. So I'll just lay that down. And I think something that we could talk about, Warren, is how we can serve, we all talk about finding big money clients and selling big ticket programs. And don't get me wrong, this is good, right? But even Tony Robbins has, digital products at the front. I mean, how can coaches serve the folks who either don't have the money or, as a sales trainer would say, don't have enough motivation because, many would say anybody has the money. But, how can we serve the market at the low end and still make a good profit?
Well, first off, you got to go back and watch the video that you just did with Gail. And because my takeaway from that was reaffirmation of something I've studied before, but boy, did she put it well in your, when Gail was on with you. Oh, was that yesterday? Yeah, a lot's been happening. And when I heard her say about the sizes of audiences and things like that, and then this line came out, and you always got to give people your very best. Don't hold back. And I've heard that again and again from the most successful people and practiced it myself. Right here, right now, you ask me a question, I'm going to give you my very best answer for it. I'm not going to say you need my books and tapes. That's how long I've been doing this. We had books and tapes when I started. Remember cassettes. Anyway, and your soul packages at the back of the room doing that. And then we got into more elaborate and better things and the whole sales growth industry is in my career, I've seen grow from nothing to you're lucky if you can get $25 out of somebody to where now, Tony has led the way and shown us, that there's no limit to how much somebody will pay to have somebody else help them get to their next level.
And Joe Polish, even more.
Yeah.
Tony's
But,
60. Joe's
right.
100.
And if you go one-on-one with Tony, you're going to get his very best stuff. He's not, if you just happen into him at the supermarket, like that's going to happen. Then it was.
You better be in the vegetable section.
Yeah, right. Well, if for whatever reason you see Tony on the street, he's gonna treat you like a human being, assuming that you get the chance to talk to him. And I think the last time we did one of these, you told us about one of those encounters with your brother. So, but it becomes an access problem. And I think, let me say in defense of those gurus who don't help out. You were going through some stuff. You had your own issues to deal with, and we all know that when somebody comes up to you and says, "Hey, can you give me some of your money because you have so much?" that you have to have a defense against that. It's not whether or not you have compassion to help the person. It's that handing them some cash probably won't help them with their real problem. The cash will go, and you'd spend all your time handing out cash on the street. And so you think of ways to better help people, and so and that I think is the essence of that. So if you know that, then step one has got to be you're going to give your all in every chance you can. And if you have zero cash, you do have your other assets. And if your other asset is I'm learning how to coach, then this isn't going to help you. You've got to go find something that you do know how to do and go make enough money with that you can start helping other people. You don't have to be rich to be a coach, but you have to have something. And so get that experience. It is number one problem I get with people coming up to me asking me for help. Let's say I'm at a seminar and I bump into a person. And they say, "Yeah, but here's my situation. I spent 30 years doing this, and now I want to be a life coach." And I go well, why don't you cash in on your 30 years of experience of what you did? You were a nurse for 30 years. You've got to know something where you can help people outside of, just generally calling yourself a life coach. Well, I went through this certification program. I want to change things. You can change. You can change anything you want, but you got to change from a position of strength. And the other thing is you have the time to really help somebody. So if you got to get very professional about it, say you're going to take on a coaching client, not, "Hey, friend, I'm going to coach you, and I'm going to call you a coaching client so I can say that I'm a coach on my business card." No, it's you got to actually help somebody, maybe a stranger on the street, whatever, and take an hour and sit down with them and go through your program and see if it helps them. If it helps them, you won't be hurting for money very long because they'll start telling people and coming to you and there's some smart ways to do that. You don't go offer something for free and then turn somebody into a salesperson, and you also don't go offer something for free and then have them bring their freeloader friends. No, you find somebody that probably could pay you and make them a deal, and help them out there. And then, of course, set up as a professional and spend what money you have connecting with the people that really can help. And like your program coming up is just going to be sensational for that. For a pittance in money, they get into actually getting leads and doing something. And here you are helping people and telling them for free, and you're going to tell them how to do it. I imagine you're like me. I say what I do is like making peanut butter sandwiches. Your 3-year-old can make a peanut butter sandwich, but you're going to get peanut butter on both sides of the bread. You're going to get a mess that's going to take longer to clean up than the sandwich takes to eat. It may or may not have jelly on it. You never know.
I'll tell you something. Gail, like you mentioned it, Gail mentioned it last night, and because the reason that I have to go off this call so early is, let me put that into context, because my mind is just exploding with this, right? So we talk about having a wealth mentality, and I'm usually pretty good about that. About being able to think big. Gail said, do your best. I mean, I started these live streams because I'm afraid of video, right? So I figured I'd just jump out of the plane and start doing them every day for 30 days, keep it. And I go out of my way to not pitch. I broke my rule with Gail because she deserves it. But I don't pitch. There's no angle, right? And trust me, I'm a pretty damn good strategist. If I wanted an angle, there'd be one, right? But there isn't. And I'm just putting everything out, doing the best I can. And I got a call from someone associated with Roku and Netflix. They're looking for content. Television producer. The guy's a big deal, super big. And, they're looking for more content. I don't want to give up, more. There might be an NDA or something. But this call comes from just putting your heart out. And some of my clients are coaching clients, and they're like counting these live streams as coaching sessions. Just putting it out there because you never know what'll come back. And this is almost like a caricature of that. Who gets calls from people like this for doing live streams? So what Gail said and what you said are true.
Yeah.
Really true.
So in the peanut butter sandwich analogy, Mom makes a much better peanut butter sandwich. I want hers. I can make a peanut butter sandwich myself, but I'd rather have Mom make one because, Mom really cares and wants to do it and loves me and makes me a good sandwich. And that's kind of the analogy we're looking at here. You want to go for the very best you can afford and do it well. I understand there's some fine restaurants that serve great peanut butter sandwiches and you can get the Elvis sandwich or whatever. And so, just give your very best, give your heart. And of course you can see looking at this is production quality of what we're doing here is nothing. It's just two guys sitting on Facebook Live talking, and it's the content that matters. And then, of course, you can always dress up the content later. You can get the better hair. So we probably both could use a wig.
I'll have you know, I went to the trouble of taking a laundry rack and throwing a curtain on it.
Yeah, well, that's it. That's your great set, and but we can do that kind of stuff. I've been there, done that, and again, professional equipment.
I got my lavalier. I just have to figure it out.
Right. And I'd show you, but it's right behind the monitor, the studio microphone that I'm not using because I didn't set it up because you said you wanted to do this, and I decided that I'd rather do the bio break. But that's the point. We are given what we can, and I don't have a book to hold up. So anyway, there's a book, but not the one I want. In Profitable Social Media, we came up with the term serendipity selling. What we do on social media is help people best we can, very public, get a conversation going, and then when somebody says, "Would you like to buy?" there's something available there, and you expect serendipity. If you're a good person doing good work, you have some skill. Somebody sooner or later is going to say, "Hey, we want to pay you some money." Now, there's also obviously a million things to learn about sales techniques and lead generation and getting more profitable clients and lots of money to be made. But if your heart is in it and you're helping people, it's going to come through, and you really can't help but to make a living doing this sort of thing. Number one, decide you're going to do it, and number two, start investing in improving that. So I dare say, if you watch, no matter what happens with the TV contract, if you watch Tom doing this a week from now, a month from now, a year from now, it's going to be a much better production. But the content, the heart is not going to change. You're always going to get that when you go with Tom.
Yeah, and
I didn't mean to pitch. Sorry, but everybody, if you can afford him, get Tom, and especially when he's doing this relatively cheap, because you won't be able to in a year.
You know what got me through a lot of dark times. This is like either a legend or it's true, but I like it either way. The way the story goes, when Michael Eisner took over Disney, right? There's been books, and some people think he's a jerk. I don't know. I don't know the guy, but there's a legend that he would send his producers to the Betty Ford clinic and catch stars at the bottom of their trough to get them cheap to make Disney movies, right? And they caught Robin Williams, because remember, Robin Williams to this point was a kind of a breakout TV guy with a canceled program, Mork and Mindy, and he had a coke problem. I can relate, and he was exiting the Betty Ford Center, and it was there that they offered him the lead role in Popeye. Because they needed a guy with that kind of range, and the rest is history. Big star. So Mike Eisner got Robin Williams cheap because he knew where to shop, right? And cocaine was over for me 30 years ago, but
you're still offering the post-cocaine addiction special today.
I wrote a post a while back. I had this burst of empathy for all the people that missed out on me while I was cheap. It was kind of nice. To have that, feel bad for folks. But and I'm watching the clock close because I want to be on time for the other call. But I like to talk about digital products on a few fronts, right? If you're a coach, and my opinion's a little different than most. If a coach can't sell, right? Let's say you're a yoga coach and you're great at teaching yoga, and you just don't have it in you to sell. My first response is nobody doesn't have anything in them, but you can focus on being a great yoga coach. Hire a salesman, partner with a salesman. You don't have to be great at all the different aspects of your coaching business to do it well. You probably shouldn't be. You should be super duper good at your thing, the thing that you're teaching. Where was I going? Oh, digital products. So digital products are great, I think, for a few reasons. One, they're easy to make. They don't require you to go do live streams for 30 days. You could stay a little anonymous, because stepping out in the front of the camera is kind of a thing for a lot of folks. It is for me, but I just addressed it by doing it. You can still do digital products from the safer side of the camera. They're a lot easier to sell. I mean, $47 or $27 is a lot easier. And I did $60 million in volume, 27 at a time. So there's money in it, right? Another thing that, and I'd love to get your opinion on this, is I'm starting to like digital products for high-end coaches, cheap ones, as an on-purpose mechanism to keep the lower-end client, not keep out the rabble, but to keep people whose price preference is not in line with your income preference. You can give those people the help they need on a digital level, and it's part of the deal that they're not going to be in your orbit personally. Because for big-time coaches, like, the biggest management problem is, managing their personal time because they're selling it.
Yeah, well, the thing is, once you let go of the idea that you need a certain kind of, there's one for sure. In answer to this, instead of digital products, I usually talk about books, because I did nothing but books for several years, about 10 years ago, and the reason we did that, I was getting paid to make a book bestseller, but what I learned about books, and as I was in the publishing industry, was like, there is, in the perception of the world, is, if you have a book, it's somewhat of an accomplishment. And so I get a lot of people to come to me and they want to have a book. They're working on a book. We call it author language. If somebody says they're working on a book, they had the idea. If somebody says the book is nearly done, that means they've, written something in paper or on the computer. Books aren't usually done until they're completely done. There's a lot of work to do after you start writing a draft, and you could get a book done in a weekend. There's courses on them, but doesn't matter. What you really want is to be the person that has been an author. Now, I've got 8 books out that I'm all or part of, and and they're all different stories of what got me involved in doing something. And so, it's kind of like my first reaction to everything is, why is there a book on it? If you don't know enough to write a book, then you're not ready to be, known as the person to go to. And you can get there quickly. You can, work on knowing a subject, because if you read 10 books on a subject, you know it better than most of the population. And you take the courses, you do that. Now, for your business, you do the same thing. You study how to run a business, and you get very good at it. The skills are not that hard. That's why I like to say peanut butter sandwich. So digital product is so easy to do today. When I started, I just posted this yesterday on my first job, and it's in the history of WarrenWhitlock.com. And I decided to add that to the resume, and Facebook wanted to know a year. And so I put 1969. And so the first comment on that post, I had to tell the story, what it was. In 1969, we spent weeks putting together the cameras and everything we needed. And we did a live stream out to all the classrooms in the junior high school. And there's a lot of stories, a lot of things I learned from doing that. But I was 13 at the time, and we were able to get it done. And of course, I was just part of the crew when the actual thing happened. But I was there for the production meetings I was there the day we decided to do it, and very involved in that. I didn't call it producing. But, I'm a kid. What do I know, right? Years later, I produced, when I was in Thailand, I produced a radio show. And then I went to school and studied about that kind of stuff. And boy, I got class credit huge for directing a TV show because it was a big production. To produce a TV show. They only allowed certain students to do it. And then, fast forward to today, you asked me a half hour ago if I do this, and I said, yeah, and you set the thing up, and we were live within 20 minutes. And we only needed 20 minutes because we had to finish the conversation we were having, take our bio breaks, and I had to comb this hair and get ready. Yeah, both of them, and get ready for this thing. And that was all the effort. Doing it was, you did it while we were talking, set it up while we were talking. The post was out, and I clicked on a button to attach my camera. And literally, it's that easy to do these today. So stop thinking you don't have the money or the time or the whatever. If it's something that's important to you, prioritize it and find a way to produce something. And absolutely, digital content is how it goes today. Even if you're doing a book, you're going to sell a lot more copies of an ebook in this realm. If you're a novelist, maybe people still buy paperbacks.
Hey, I got it. I think I've discovered a story that I haven't told you yet, and trust me, I've told you most of them.
I'll pretend I've never heard it before.
You might not have. Like today is apparently National Tell a Lie Day, and I did so people on the live stream. I've been
telling people all day that it's not National Tell a Lie Day.
Which may be a lie. I don't even know. But the people on the live stream will get to hear a nice little secret that's not on the post. And I won't put it on the post till tomorrow, but they're all true. They're all true. I think it's number 3 with the nudist resort. That's the lie, because it wasn't 3 years, it was 2.5. But so here's a story you haven't heard. When I was in high school, same as you, video cameras were brand new. A portable video camera. This proves that we're both old. Brand new, and I wanted access to one. I didn't have $3,000 or $4,000, which back then actually meant something. So my plot was this is so Tom Bell. The video camera belonged to the football department, which is so not surprising at the high school I went to. They bought the camera so they could analyze the football games. So I told this football guy that I was an expert with video cameras. I became an expert, thankfully, inside of the first 10 minutes of using it. And I volunteered to film all the games, all the football games. Now, I am so not a football fan. Whenever I would miss a shot, a play or something, I would just get a close-up on the cheerleaders. Nobody ever got mad at me. But yeah, I did I cut like the whole year of science class, but I did a flight lesson. I just filmed one of the flight lessons I was taking anyway, and turned that in as my science project and got an A. It was great, just having access to the video camera. And we're officially in the bottom 3 or 5 minutes of
So this is where we normally would go into the pitch, but we don't do that.
No, suffice to say, Warren's a really smart guy, and especially if it's books. Books are a good idea. I'm not selling anything, so if you want to endorse me, just tell people to listen to me and share the stuff. The stuff.
By the way, if you want to get somebody's attention, start sharing their stuff and commenting, and real comments, not me too. And in no time, you're going to get the attention of anybody. I have 485,000 followers on Twitter as of this morning. And if you send me a tweet and ask me a question that I've answered 1,000 times before, I jump for joy because I get a chance to interact with somebody. And if you want to tell me I'm wonderful, I'll listen to that. But that's not what I'm there for. I'm there to actually help people. That may lead to sales, and it does. My largest sale ever came from Facebook, from answering somebody's question, and all of my work comes from referrals and from people I know. I'm lying if I say I'm not here to sell something. I am. I'm out to sell that doing business this way is a better way to do business, and keep doing it. I know that the serendipity selling is going to kick in and something's good going to come out of this. That doesn't mean I'm going to get X number of leads today. That means something's going to get. I'm a better person for having done this. I've shared more. I'm going to help people, and somewhere in the network that's going to pay off. So please share away and help people all you can. Help Tom Bell. Share this video.
All right, so I'll let this. Hey, I'm sorry. I almost feel that I thought these things were all right. So quick thing. I've been telling all the guests, let's do 18 minutes. Why 18 minutes? Somebody called me a live stream expert today. That's funny all by itself. Yeah. I just figured that I know that Chris Anderson did some research and determined that 18 minutes is a good focus limit because of the TED Talks. We rarely go less than an hour. So here I am apologizing for only a 28 or 30-minute thing. But that's the thing. If I'm going to pitch something, it's come and interact, ask questions. People that like doing this love answering questions. They get off on helping people. I do.
Right.
So show up for the thing, and then sharing is almost like tipping. Sharing it holds a lot of power, and trust me, people notice when you do. So I do need to wrap up. I have this call, and I'm sure that we'll have a lot to talk about, you and I, Warren, because I know you've got some content. And we'll just check in tomorrow and tell everybody how it went.
Great.
So say good night, Shirley.
Good night, Shirley.
Good night, everybody. Talk soon.